Hey guys, Tim here from Droid Life, and today I am bringing you a 25 plus tips and tricks video for the LG G4. As I stated in my G4 review, which we posted not too long ago, LG didn't change up the software all too much, from the LG G3, but this device is running Android 5.1 with UX 4.0 on top of it, so there are a few different things inside, some of which we are going to go over in this video. So without further ado, there are 25 tips to get to, so let's get right into it. Starting on the lock screen area, or with the phone off, this is a tip that I discovered completely by accident. One day I was just fumbling with the phone and I discovered it. So from the lock screen here with the display turned off, if you slide down from the top here, you can get a little quick look at the time in the US and Korea, as well as your notification shade. My belief is that since this is a kind of a Korean model that was imported over here specifically for reviews, that this may not be built into the US variant versions that you get on a carrier. But if you do happen to pick up a model like this, then that feature should be available. Moving on, LG did bring back the double tap to wake and double tap to sleep feature, which everyone loves on these phones. HTC built it into the 1MA and the 1M9, but the G2 was the innovator. The G2 had it, G3 had it, and the G4 now has it. So if you just double tap anywhere on the screen, it'll wake, and then you can unlock from there. And when you're on the home screen or inside of an app, you can double tap right there on the screen to turn it off. For example, if you're inside of an app, you won't necessarily be able to double tap on something, or else it's gonna bring up whatever it is the app is showing. But you can double tap in the notification shade area, and that will just turn the display off. You can do that inside of any app as long as you are running one of these phones. Moving on. Let's dive into a bit more you can do from the device being locked. So for example, we're gonna need this little guy here. If on the back side, there's the volume up, power, and volume down. If you double tap on the volume down button, the camera will open and quickly snap a shot of whatever is in front of it. It's good to know if you have, kids running around, or, some crazy animals you want to get pictures of, then you'll be able to snap those guys pretty quickly. In addition, if the device is locked and you double tap on the volume up button, that will open up the Q memo application, and from here you can take little notes. If you're a sketch artist, you can, do a little stick figure or something like that, have some fun with it. You can also input text, or you can also, get out of that, or you can erase everything, which is also good to know. Sometimes you need to erase, sometimes you make a mistake. So getting out of there, it'll save it to the Q memo application. Moving on, more things for the lock screen. If we dive into the settings menu and go down to lock screen right here, there's a few things you can do. First off, let's go into the different type of lock screens you can have. You can have knock code, a pattern, which you can draw a pattern for, pin, which is just a regular numerical pin, or a password, which is a word or a passphrase or something like that. So let's go into knock code, which is something kind of recent. I believe it was first introduced in the G3. So with knock code, it shows a quadrant on the lock screen, and you can, we'll make one up real quick, something easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, retry. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do any type of pattern you want inside of that quadrant as long as it's 4. So we'll hit continue, we'll confirm that we want our 1, 2, 3, 4. We will set a backup pin, just in case. Something easy. So, now that that's all confirmed, once it's set, we can show all notifications, hide sensitive notifications such as text, I believe, or say you have a banking app installed, it won't show that information, or we can hide all notifications altogether. Well, we don't want to do that. So it's all set, or it should be at least. We're gonna go to the lock screen here, so now it shows kind of that invisible quadrant look. It just has a box here now. There's no more swiping to unlock. But if we go, turn it back on, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And it unlocks right there. Another neat thing is that if the screen is off, you don't even have to awake the display. You can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and it unlocks automatically. So definitely a nice little thing to have. On the lock screen, if you noticed, when the quadrant is not set, so let's go back in here, we gotta go into lock screen, Next. All right, and then we'll just go to a simple swipe. Now here you can change shortcuts which are available. So when you have a shortcut set, all you have to do is hold it and then swipe up, and that will say take you to your camera application or you know, anything else you may need to snap a picture of. The shortcuts are customizable. So if we dive in here, lock screen, right here it'll say shortcuts, and these shortcuts are customizable. To customize, simply hit on the little gear, and then you can select from any application you have installed on your phone. For example, if I need my Maps app, there it is, I save it. So whenever I go to the lock screen, that shortcut is going to be there now, and I would just swipe up and then get into the Maps app. So there's that. In addition to changing up that stuff, when you go in here, you can change the animation it does when your display is locked. So, for example, right now I have the hula hoop effect, which I actually I quite like. Kind of does this kind of rotating kind of hula hoop effect. I don't know if I'd really call it a hula hoop, because hula hoops are perfect circles, you know, or they're at least cylindrical, and they definitely don't go woo 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 like that. But there's one for circle mosaic, which is also a nice one. It has a nice little kind of a clicking effect when you unlock the phone. So if you see that, it has sort of this phase in and out look where little circles become big circles, and then it unlocks the phone completely. So there's also one for a light particle vector circle, which was also on the G3, and a soda pop one, which could be a big one for the fans of soda among you. If you hold on to it, you'll get little bubble noises, and when you undo it, it sounds as if you're popping the top off your favorite soda pop. Moving on, let's go into the home screen here. Basic Android functionality kind of across the board. If you are on the home screen and you pinch in, you can change your default home, you can add a blank screen, or kind of just navigate anything you have. You can change the layout for one. Say if you want that page up here, you just simply long press and drag it, so that won't be a problem. When you first boot on the phone, LG has installed something called Smart Bulletin. Now if we slide over here, first we have to enable it. So we loaded up Smart Bulletin now, so it should be right over here to the left. Smart Bulletin. Smart Bulletin is a lot like Google Now, where it shows you different cards for things that are installed on your phone. For example, it has LG Health. So when you have LG Health enabled, it'll show your steps throughout the day. It shows you what your goal is. I don't know why my goal is nearly, 7,500 steps, but it is. That's a lot of steps. I don't know if I'll be doing that today. Clearly, I haven't even come close to touching my goal, although I've definitely walked more than 36 steps, I promise. There's the calendar shortcut, so it'll show you all of your upcoming events through the calendar app. It has a music widget kind of built in, although the music has to be on your local storage. It can't be anything from Google Play Music or anything like that. It has to be local on your phone. In addition, it has smart settings. These smart settings it's kind of like a tasker sort of like application. For example, when you're at home, you can have certain system settings turned on, and when you're away from home, you can have different settings turned on. So for example, when I'm away, I can have my Bluetooth on because it knows that I have my Android watch paired to it, or if I have my my wireless headphones set up to it, it'll open up the music application. So simple little things like that. Q Remote is in here, smart tips. If you have questions about anything in Smart Bulletin, of course, there's a little help button. Each of these is customizable, so you can remove or add any of them that you want, or you can turn it off completely, which I tend to do, since I sometimes feel like it slows down my home screen just a little bit. Moving on, in the notification area, this is highly customizable. For example, so these are little toggles, but they also act as buttons to get you into the dedicated settings menu for each setting. So for example, I can toggle on simply by pressing the Wi-Fi, but I can also long press it to get into the Wi-Fi settings. This is important because if I want to quickly access, say my Bluetooth settings, I can just go in here, either toggle it, or I can just long press it, turn it on. There's pretty much toggles for everything, every type of system setting on your phone. For example, there's a little flashlight button, GPS, rotation, NFC, all that good stuff. This again is customizable. If you scroll all the way to the right, we have an edit button here. With this edit button, You can add or remove different system settings which appear in the notification shade. As you can see, I have quite a few enabled, but there's a ton I don't have enabled. So it goes to show that there's a lot of stuff you can do, a lot of settings you can change from the notification bar. In addition, there is a brightness slider right here. I have it set to 100, but you can also change it to auto brightness. There is also a volume slider. So if you enable that, back out, it'll add a volume slider right here. So you can change that, or you can hit the little gear and it'll show you the full kind of sound profile for your whole phone. So you can change the sound in games, movies, sound of your alarms, incoming notifications and calls, all that good stuff. Going into the settings menu itself, this is customizable too, at least the look of it. So right now I kind of have that basic Android look where everything is just stacked into one single menu, or you can change it to a tab view, and in the tab view you have different layouts for network, sound and notifications, display, and general. So going through here, I can swipe through each one of these different settings menus and get through anything that I may need to do. Going back to the home screen now, we're going to dive into Dual Window and Qslide, which are two system pieces of software that LG built in that have been prevalent on past G series phones. So for example, if I hit the multitasking button right here in the bottom right, the little square on Android L, I can see that I have plenty of apps open. I can swipe away all I want and do all that fun stuff. But more importantly, I can hit Dual Window, which is kind of like Samsung's multi-window. But with Dual Window, you're going to have two apps open simultaneously. So say I want YouTube open in one side and I want my gallery open down on the bottom. I want to look through photos while I'm also watching YouTube videos. So that's something you can do. It'll open up both. So let's see, we got 49ers season highlights, and we have my dog Loki down here doing his thing. So each of these you can customize by changing the height, or say, the size of them, whichever one you want more prevalent on your display. You can also close, or you can change, flip-flop which one you want on top, which one you want on bottom. Of course, each one you can just close, and then when you're out of them, just go home, and that's that. Another thing, kind of like Dual Window, is Qslide. Now I have Qslide enabled right here in the top, so I can simply hit it. Drops down a list of Qslide applications. As of right now, the only Qslide applications that are kind of compatible are the ones LG preloaded on the phone. So with Qslide, I can have an application open on top of another application. It's not two apps necessarily running simultaneously next to each other, but it's one on top of the other. So for example, if I need my phone out, I can just press on it. It's going to come up, it's going to be a little pop-up window of its own application. So, and I can adjust the size, I can adjust the transparency or the opacity of it. Pretty much anything. It's a fully working application. I can make a call, I can close it, and there's plenty of other applications that are doable. Contacts, videos, for preloaded videos on your device's storage, calendar, messaging, email, all of that. Again, this is also customizable. You can show and select or deselect which apps you want shown. But again, apps are super limited as to which ones are compatible. Frankly, there's not all that many. It's only the ones that LG kind of preloads. Moving on from that, let's dive into LG's built-in keyboard. So right now I have it kind of tweaked. Let's show you. Let's dive into the settings here. If I can, if it wants to let me, of course. So, settings. So right here, a couple of things I like about LG's keyboard is that you can change the theme. You can also change the look of it kind of entirely. So right now I have the black theme set. You can also set a white theme. Say we want to apply the black theme. And then we also want to change the height and kind of layout. So for example, if you have bigger hands, or big fingers, you can change the height of it pretty dramatically. So right now it's pretty stretched out. We can drag it down and make it more compact along the bottom side here. In that same breath, you can also change it to one-handed operation. So say if you have smaller hands and you want your keyboard to kind of be in just this area alone, you can select one-handed operation, And then inside, when you go to compose an email or something, the entire keyboard is going to be in just this one area that you selected. And this is going to help, you know, the people that don't have large hands. So definitely, LG's keyboard has definitely moved a step in the right direction. We're going to talk about the navigation buttons right here. So if we dive into the settings menu once again and then go over to display, and then I believe it's home screen. Oh, no, it is the home touch buttons, excuse me. We can change the combination of the buttons down here. So for example, if we want the notification pull down here down on the bottom and it shows that in kind of real time, we have that button placed. We just drag and drop and all that. So now when we go to home and these buttons stay there, we can just press that. It'll do the notification shade up and down, up and down. We can also bring up that Qslide menu, which is important. You know, if you need quick access to things like that, you can just set them right there on the navigation bar, which is definitely a plus for some. I personally like to keep it kind of stock. I have my back, my home, and my recent apps, so definitely a plus for me. Looking at the, going more into the home screen, excuse me, we're going to take a look at adding widgets and kind of tweaking other things like that on the home screen. So again, kind of like stock Android, if you long press on the home screen, here is where you're going to be able to choose applications and icons that you want to bring to the home screen. For example, if I want my Instagram app up here, and I also want the Google Keep app up here, I simply just click them and drag them up there. And now when I'm on my home screen, I can quickly access them like that. If we long press again, we can get into our widgets. These are all the widgets that come preloaded, and of course I have some apps that have widgets that I also have in here. For example, if I want to add a MLB at bat widget, I can simply add it to my home screen. I can check the latest scores from the Giants beating the Dodgers. No big deal. And then I can also take that same widget and then just drag it up and remove it. Same thing can be done for wallpapers. You just long press, and then you can choose which wallpaper you want. LG definitely brought on a few wallpapers that are nice to look at and all of that. We changed our wallpaper, and there you go, a fancy new wallpaper for you. So that's definitely, that's a look around the LG G4. We definitely gave you a few tips and tricks that I think will help any potential G4 buyer out there get the most out of their phone. If you guys have any questions about anything I showed, or maybe you have a couple of tips and tricks you want to show us, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. And until then, we're Droid Life. Peace.